Tonight, we're talking about like strategies for jobs and internships and what your goals are. Because the goals are usually the first thing that kind of launches most of what you're looking for. So we want to make sure that you effectively convey your goals and your skills, and you look for good employers that match your skill set from RISD. We want to make sure that these opportunities employers really match the high quality education that you've gotten. So we're going to show you some resources to help do that. Brittany's going to talk about networking, how to build a good network, a valuable network that can actually work for you. And we know that you're busy. So part of all of this is all about being organized. It's about just simple steps to just kind of manage the workload. So what that means for you, job and internship boards and ways of researching different industries and ways of thinking about researching companies and organization will be something that we'll talk about. We'll talk about networking with alumni, LinkedIn, and probably using social media as well. Um, Basically, when you're looking for a job or an internship, we know that you need your resume, cover letter, and portfolio right away. If you don't have that, we do have resources for that. But that's just saying, what do you need to have? And then we definitely will go over making some kind of system in the way that you do things. So have you all been on the Career Center's website? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, that's pretty good. Now, do you feel like you know how to use that website? I'm seeing like a couple of shoulders going up like, uh-huh, maybe, maybe not. So when you get to the Career Center's website, I always say that these three buckets that are there, they give you quick information. So the first bucket is always talking about some kind of internship posting. And the second one is talking about a career program or event that's coming up. And the third one is always about an alumni success story or something that's happening with alumni. So starting from the Career Center, the big place that I think is so valuable is this career prep section. Whenever I have my appointments, this is where I take students right away. Um, on the career prep, when you click it, you're going to see resume, cover letters, portfolios, artist statement, and interviewing tips. Those are all things you need for your job. So those are like immediate things that you need. So we do have a resume book that's there that has sample resumes and sample cover letters. Um, do you all know about that? Okay, great. So we do have drop-in hours that you can come in if you do use one of the samples and you want us to look at it. We have drop-in hours daily. So since tonight is not about the resume or the cover letter, I just wanted you to know where it exists. You know, tonight is about how do you find a job or an internship. So I'm going to go right to the main place that where everything is listed is on Artworks. Um, have you all signed up to Artworks? Have you all been on Artworks? Show of hands. Do you have profiles on Artwork? Okay. Do you have your resume on Artwork? Okay. So that's part of your profile. Okay. So you get to Artworks from job and internships, and then you just click on Artworks here. Artworks is available to you as an alum as well. So when you're finishing, if you're a senior and you're graduating this year or a grad student graduating, make sure you update your passwords so that you can use Artworks. Okay. So when you get to Artworks, I'm going to show you just a couple of tips to make Artworks a little bit easier because we hear from students that they feel like Artworks is just so cumbersome. And I will say it's not pretty, but it's useful. Okay. So just a couple of tips in using Artworks. So when you get to Artworks, it says OCI and job listing. That's where you're going to go to look for the jobs. So this is where I'd send you right away. And then I tell you to go up here and I tell you to add a filter. And then I tell you to start typing in the word major and RISD major, and then choose your major. And after you choose it, it'll resort everything that's listed there for a job. If a company came in and posted a job and they said, an architect can do it. If it's a grant and they said architecture students can have this grant, or graphic design students, then once you have that sorted like that, go to the bottom and turn on email alert so you don't have to keep going into artworks every day. And then it's here under the save search. So I did that. And I have a couple of categories that I always do for my save searches. So even as a career advisor, I need to know what's happening all the time because I'm always having meetings with different types of students. So I did this one for artist opportunity is what I called it. And then it was just so nice to kind of see all these things kind of quickly. And if I clicked on one of the links, it gave me information. So like, this is a program with the Houston Museum that I always forget, but they love RISD. They always, every couple of years, a lot of our grad students have gone to this program for a whole year with the Houston Museum. So I thought it was good. Also, I did full-time listing, as you can see right here. And then this is a space design production. I guess it looks, like trade show exhibit design, and that was there as well. Um, Other things that came up was like graphic design. Um, Chronicle Books has this opening, and Chronicle Books is one of the companies that always hires RISD. And they usually look for graphic designers and also industrial designers, illustrators that are on the graphic design side. This is a really great opportunity for them. And they are looking for an intern, and their program is usually about, I think it's 6 or 9 months, right, Brittany? I think it is something like that. But it's like an apprenticeship with them. So I also, was looking for like one of my searches also like local companies. And this is one for an interior art company that's local in Providence, looking for someone. Artworks also list jobs from all over the place. So MGA Partners, they are an alum, I don't know if it's alum owned, but they've had their recruiters been an alumni for many years that have always come to the portfolio review. So, and Illumination is coming, looking for a storyboard artist. I'm showing you all these things because I'm hoping that I can get you excited. Because I'm excited. I'm hoping that I can get you excited that there's stuff that's there. Because we always hear students say, when I go into artworks, there's nothing there. Artworks is updated daily. So it's a matter of you like just getting, setting up the search so it comes to your email. And if you're interested, you can go in it. If not, you can just move on. But it's important to set up a search like this. This one is for ID, industrial design, and this is product design, full-time job that's listed there. So I'm hoping you're all seeing that. So I put this slide in there because like us coming to the design portfolio review, how many juniors, seniors, first and second year grads? Show of hands. Okay, there's not many. Okay. So for the portfolio review, that's what the portfolio reviews for juniors, seniors, first year and second year grads to attend that. Brittany will show you for if you're a sophomore. So are most of you sophomore? Can I see a show of hand for sophomore? Freshman? Whoa! Okay, we've got a really interested freshman class. Well, the freshmen, you're going to have to meet with us. Okay. So I put this up about Leica because when they came last year and they gave a presentation to us, what was so nice was when they gave us all of the different kinds of creative jobs that they have. And I wanted to just show it to you because sometimes, when you look at a company, you're like, it's just for animators, it's just for illustrators, it's just, it's just for, it's just for, it's just for. And then you don't look a little bit beyond. Most companies want more than what they say. So sometimes it's good to have this kind of job description. So, I mean, lighting, if you're an interior arc and you're great at lighting, you never know. It might be a place that you're interested in. So I wanted to make sure you have this kind of detail as well. So another thing about using artworks. Now, I'm going to try and make sure you see this one. So when I have appointment with students, they'll say, what are the RISD connected companies? Tell me all of the RISD connected companies that are important for me. And I'm like, oh, well, there's like, what is it, like 15,000 of them in artworks. So you have to set up your own search. So I'm hoping the same way that I showed you about doing a search and getting the automatic emails, you can do the employer search. So you would go to the employer section, employer directory, and then here, this is also a nice thing if you're looking for internships, you can actually see like summer 2024 where students went and had internships. What companies? There was like 222 of them. So that's a search that you can do. Another search that's really good to do is like you could do the employer again, and then you can add a filter. And then your filter could be STEM OPT right here if you're international. So it's really important you can see what employers have hired for internship and also international students as well. One other detail that I love about artworks that I just learned about, and I was so glad that they turned this feature on, and I tested it out, it works. Okay, so if you do search for an employee that you like and you have a filter and your filter maybe major graphic design or industry, then it shows all the companies that's listed in artworks and it filtered it down to like 2,000, almost 3,000 companies for graphic design. If you put a little heart on one of these companies, you know, and also save this search so you can get back to it. Whenever those companies post a job or they're coming on campus, you will get an alert because this will be part of your target employers. Any questions about that one? It's just learning how to use the system to make it work for you. So I was excited about that one. Jason and I tested that one out and it really, really works. So in the Career Center, we send you tons of emails, right? And you're always like, oh, that Career Center is just getting on my nerves. I don't like all these emails. Well, we want you to open them first before you delete them. Okay, so we do have a job and internship one that we send to you all the time. So this was one for Aramont, and I know the deadline is gone, but if you're a fine artist, the freshman next year, this is actually a really great opportunity to work with other artists, with making furniture or ceramics, printmaking. That's a great opportunity. So these were a few of the other ones. Did you all see this in your email? Kind of good. Good, good, good. So this is for a gallery assistant in Los Angeles. And then Punch Cut's coming to our design portfolio review, and they're actually hiring an intern. So when we have the portfolio reviews is really just a portfolio review. The company's not interviewing you for this job. So it's a great opportunity for you to ask questions about their postings if you're interested in them and you do get on their schedule for a portfolio review. And also too, if you're a sophomore or junior and you don't go to the portfolio review, but you want to reach out to the companies, usually they're in artworks as well. So sometimes some of you are staying in Rhode Island for the summer. You can actually be TAs. Continuing ed has part-time jobs that you can work, especially for freshmen. You could be a TA this summer. So that's an opportunity. You can be here for the pre-college as well. So that's a good opportunity, I would say. And that's usually listed on Artworks. Artworks also lists work study jobs too. So, one thing that we've done this year was we updated the department resources. For each department, you can see resources that have been handpicked for you. So, we have it by major, we have premier internship and job boards, and even community and networking support. So when you below that section, this is where you would see other premier job boards other than Artworks that you can use. You'll see community support. So even like BIPOC support, you can see like there's the Queer Archive is one here. You can see other group supports by women, like Black women photographers or other things like that. So I did just a couple of little searches just thinking about meeting with you tonight. And like built-in is like, it seems like built-in always lists jobs that are a little bit higher in levels, like for art directors or either vice presidents or whatever. But what it's showing is the name of the companies. Because what's usually the thing you don't know is what's the name of the company that I can work for. So I just did a search for art directors and this came up. So I would say that's a really great one. Um, Students are having a lot of luck with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually the place where you're finding the job. Brittany's going to go through some details about how to set up an effective LinkedIn. Just kind of showing you some examples from what she's going to show tonight would be great. Um, a show of hands for how many people on LinkedIn. Oh, that's really, really good. That's good. Perfect. So this is also like the American Alliance of Museum was one of the premier job boards for anyone that's interested in working in any museum throughout the country. One of the things that you can do if you're graduating and you're interested in museums or other job boards, like when I asked you about Artworks, updating your resume and having your resume uploaded to Artworks as a good practice, you can also do that for other places. Like if you're interested in the museum jobs, this Alliance of Museums also has the same feature, and many other job boards like Indeed, they all have that as well. Because we know in LinkedIn, you're going to do your digital resume anyways with all the details you put in there. New York Foundation for the Fine Arts is premier job board for anyone thinking about going to New York. You should know about this one. And it's mainly on the fine art side, but they often list art handling, and sometimes you'll find some design jobs there. Word of Mouth is a smaller publication, but usually we find a lot of alumni say that they find really interesting jobs that are RISD friendly. So I'm going to show you just about the graphic design. I'm going to use the graphic design department as an example just to show you what you can look for when you go into your own departments. So I did graphic design. One of the things that we had done this year was we started like thinking about the titles, because sometimes if you know the titles, you can Google the titles and see the jobs, and just finding out what are the skills. This is great for freshmen, if you're thinking about what to choose your major, you can see these titles and even think about what they talk about the person doing, what kind of job they have. And we also have it where students have interned in the past, like, Apple or Black Math, Nike, Tapestry, and that's for graphic design. So those graphic design students, like Tapestry is fashion and Coach bag and apparel, but they hire graphic designers. So it's kind of nice to see where students interned last year or in years before too. Um, we also have, of course, the job boards that are good for those different disciplines. For graphic design, LinkedIn is definitely the top one for it. We also have organizations like there's a student AIGA organization or Graphice or even the Type Directors Club. Like the Type Directors Club, if you're a graphic designer, they have these amazing scholarships and amazing fellowships that you can apply to. So just so you know. So just to kind of go back and review everything that I kind of talked about. So I talked about using artworks to find fine arts and design opportunities, and it's really exclusive to RISD. A lot of companies will give us their email, they'll give us their phone number, they'll put their details on artworks, and it's from our alumni, from our board of trustees, or people who know the work of RISD students. So it's a great place for you to start looking for jobs. And it has a really good directory of employers. And I just showed you the industry specific job boards, a few of them that you can look at. And I also mentioned considering senior jobs as a good sign that there might be junior level jobs or even internships. So you might have to reach out to the companies. When Brittany gives her talk, she'll be talking about in LinkedIn if you link with somebody, sending a note to them. And, you know, follow up with your favorite organization and companies. Follow up is so huge. I always find like students will come in, oh, I've applied to 50 places. And then my question is, how many did you follow up with? Oh, no one said anything to me. I didn't, I can't, I can't reach out to them. I'm like, well, you're gonna have to. Okay. So as I'm saying, follow up is like huge, and it's really, really important for you to consider doing that. So attending our career programs is also like a good practice to have. For those of you who have been to a lot of our programs, sometimes it's just coming and hearing what we have to say and thinking about it differently, because you get different things out of it. So we have a Fulbright coming up, we have exhibition coming up, interviewing, even freelance. And if you want to own your own business, and the fine arts and the design portfolio reviews are things that are coming up. So we hope you'll actually come to our programs in a continued way. So I'm going to give Brittany the stage to talk about networking. Okay.
Everybody. Um, so just to get a show of hands, I get a lot of mixed reviews on networking and how people feel about it. So raise your hand if you feel comfortable with networking. You've done it before. Okay. And how about for anybody who's scared of it? Okay. Okay. Well, it's not so scary, and hopefully the way that I describe it will make it feel a little more manageable, a little more approachable. Sometimes it's about the approach and the perspective that you have with networking. And I don't always like to use the word networking. I prefer to use the word connecting or building relationships because that's what you're essentially doing. A lot of these relationships that you build end up either helping you and benefiting you immediately, or, down the line in a few years, it actually benefits you in other ways. So actually, let me talk a little bit about, so Karen was talking about the career programs that we do, and those are actually really great opportunities to network. A good number of them, we actually bring in alumni to speak. We bring in professionals within the industries. So those are also great opportunities to get names of people, to get ideas of companies you may want to work for, or just to have an opportunity to add somebody on LinkedIn afterwards. So some of the ways that we can network is, well, one, connecting with alumni, and there's actually a variety of ways to do that, and I'll go through some of them. Um, some of the ways that you can tap into our network, we have a very large engaged alumni community, and we're always getting alumni coming back to us asking us, how can we get involved? How can we connect with students and give advice and give internships? So we have people that want to speak with you. So please attend our programs, watch out for our emails, see who's coming to campus, because those are really easy ways to get connected. First way to get connected is the RISD network, and I included a little screenshot right on our website. If you go to the networking page, you can actually get access right to the RISD network, right to the RISD alumni group on LinkedIn. And I'll go into a little more detail about what these are. And so some of these platforms allow you to find not only alumni, but you get to explore career paths. If some of that language and terminology is still new to you, you get to reach out for advice. And also directories are a great way to find information, whether it's directly connecting with people or just learning about the industry in general. So speaking about the directories, I'm going back to what Karen was talking about. So this was a screenshot from the sculpture major page. And one of the directories I wanted to highlight as an example is Area. And Area was actually founded by a RISD alum, a furniture grad. Her name is Alyssa Gerasimov. And what this directory is a directory of creatives. So it's really a great resource. You can find creatives by location, by medium. So it's another way to use information like this to get internships, get experience, get advice, and just build relationships with other creatives. The alumni office here at RISD also supports regional alumni clubs and affinity groups where you can meet RISD grads in your area and then also within similar interests. So all of these groups will have leadership boards that you can reach out to. They link you directly to their LinkedIn pages. So you can get access to this community before you even graduate. So that's why we love to show this because these alumni groups want to give back to you too. So with LinkedIn, there is a variety of ways that you can get involved, get connected outside of the job board. And one of them is the RISD alumni group. And I wanted to emphasize that there are over 10,000 members in this group, and you can join now as a student. And the reason why this is beneficial is because it immediately expands your network. You get more connection power being in any kind of group. There are groups for even special areas that you're interested in. I've seen graphic design groups, I've seen ID, I've seen toy design. Any interest that you have, you can probably find a group within LinkedIn for it. And many alumni post job openings on here, freelance opportunities, industry insights. And for example, some might share that their company is hiring, while others may be looking for collaborators on creative projects. And by engaging in these posts, whether you're commenting, messaging, or applying for these opportunities, you're unlocking new opportunities and making new connections. So these are just some examples of how alumni have posted in this group before. There's also outside of that, the RISD LinkedIn page itself. So like an employer, like a company, RISD also has a profile page. And this will look similar to any employer page that you see on LinkedIn. And it's actually a really powerful tool because of the alumni tab specifically. You can search for RISD graduates based on where they work, where they live, what they studied while they were here at RISD. You can even type in any search words or key terms that are really interesting to you. There's over 32,000 people on LinkedIn affiliated with RISD, so it's a really direct way to get connected to the community. And the way that I usually suggest to use this tool is if, for example, during my search, I decided to kind of target the graphic design area and Courtney came up. Courtney is a creative manager at Hasbro. And so if I was a graphic design student, I was interested in working at Hasbro, I might want to connect with Courtney just to learn about Hasbro more, learn about what Courtney does at Hasbro. So I would click the connect button. And it's super important to leave a note because say, for example, if you weren't connecting to an alumni, somebody might be a little confused about why you're reaching out, especially if there's no direct connection like being, affiliated with RISD the way that we are. So this is more specific because Courtney is a RISD alum, but I might say something like, "Hi, Courtney. I'm a RISD graphic design student interested in graphic design internship at Hasbro. I admire your work and would love to connect and learn more about your experience. Looking forward to staying in touch." And when you're leaving a note with your connect request, you're more likely to get a response back because alumni want to help RISD students. So, of course, everybody knows that we do have the job board on LinkedIn, and it is very valuable. Again, like I was kind of sticking to the graphic design route, and so I typed in graphic design as my search term. Then I filtered by what type of opportunity I wanted. There was internships, entry level, mid-level, senior. So you choose whatever you're looking for. And coincidentally, I found Hasbro come up. And this is for their summer 2025 internship. You can see that there are about 2,800 opportunities for graphic design internships on LinkedIn. So it still is a very powerful tool. And like Karen was mentioning, it is the top used resource. A lot of students are getting opportunities on here. But aside from the job board, what we've been noticing that companies are doing a lot is posting on their profiles itself rather than using the job board feature. So beyond the job posting, some employers are doing this instead for many reasons. They're getting more reaction to the posting. Sometimes people aren't looking at the job boards. And they're also doing this tactic on their social media as well. So Instagram, I've noticed it a lot. They're posting the opportunities on their stories or they're making a post about it. So this is why it's important to follow the companies you're interested in, staying on top of their social media, looking for their posts, because otherwise you may not be seeing a job posting if you don't see this. And then additionally, sometimes they're posting this before they even post on the job board. So to expand on the portfolio reviews a little more, I also teach students how to use this as a tool before they can even attend. And so the way that we do that is we track all participating companies since like 2016. And we do this for a reason. We want to have this record of who has attended. You can see who's attended multiple years. You can see who's attending this year. And so I also like to kind of advertise it as a directory for you that we keep. And so I'm showing you last year's because at the end of each portfolio review event, we publish the list of representatives who attend. And so you can get this list for each year that we've had a portfolio review. And we share what their names were, who they worked for, what their title was, if they were an alumni, and then if their emails and artworks. We do share this information if the employer gives us permission to share that. If you see that their email is not in artworks, we usually recommend that you reach out to them on LinkedIn or whatever email you can find on a website. Anything works. So to review, always start with our programs. Just because we are inviting alumni, we're inviting industry professionals. So that way you have easy access to this networking opportunities. Follow your favorite companies and organizations. Use the RISD LinkedIn page to learn about those companies. See what's out there, see who's worked for who before, see where other students have interned before. Use this as a tool for yourself. Use LinkedIn, the RISD network, and Instagram. Like I was saying, social media is still pretty big in the job search right now. We on our Instagram, we're always sharing opportunities that employers are posting. We're posting it to our story. We're sharing it in our posts. So we're really trying to bring the opportunities to you and teaching you the resources that we're using. And like Karen was saying, keep in touch. That is a super important part of networking. And it can be something as super small as like, say you had a conversation with somebody, but maybe you have something new in your portfolio and you want to share it with them and keep them updated. And anytime that you have a networking situation or question, because sometimes these opportunities are very situational and I'll get questions and I'll think, oh, I've never heard of that before. Let's talk about it and figure out what the next best steps are for you. Please come to us in any of those situations, any questions you may have, even if it's as little as, I don't know how to respond to this message, and we'll help you craft that message. So part of this search can be overwhelming. We're kind of going back to the question of like, well, what if you reached out to 50 companies, right? How do you stay sane in all of that? And how do you feel confident in this process? So I want to talk about our version of like a top 10 list. So we recommend that you create a system to track your networking efforts. A simple Google sheet. Some students use Notion, Excel, pen and paper, whatever works for you, whatever your organization system is. Keeping track of the companies you're interested in. who you've reached out to, where you've applied, keeping a top 10 list of your target companies and updating it regularly will help you stay organized and strategic in your job search. I've even gone as far as recommending that maybe you even put a timestamp of like the date that you reached out. So if you are wanting to follow up, you know when it's an appropriate time is too, because you kept track of that information. And sometimes too, these application processes can take a long time. It's very dependent on the company itself, and how they go through that process and that flow. So sometimes we just don't know where we stand in a process. So that's why follow-up is important in keeping track of this information. This is an example of what that Google Sheet might look like for you. We have the name of the companies, where they're located, because maybe that's important to you, the field that it's in, any contact info that you can get from that company, whether it's through artworks or through the company website. There are some other examples of like what the opportunity is, keeping track of communication. Is there any alumni that work there? You can get really extensive with it, whatever feels important for you to know.
And we could even color code it. That alumni did.
Are there any questions about networking?
Okay. So this section that I'm going to talk about is actually about internships, registering your internship. So if you do find an internship, you can find an internship with your family, with your faculty, on a different job board, with your friends. Once you found the internship and you've made the agreement that you got the job, then you come to Artworks and then you register that internship, okay, on Artworks. So on Artworks, it's called experiential learning. So all of a sudden, the words change from internship to experiential learning, and it's called the initial approval. So on Artworks, you can actually register for credit or no credit as well. We highly recommend that if you get an internship, register it, even if it's for no credit. And the reason why it's for no credit, you could register it, is because if anything happens to you, the school will be behind you. The school's legal office I'd be able to call on your behalf. I'd be able to advocate to make sure people are treating you well. So this is just an idea of what the process looks like, because it feels like it's really long. 3 to 14 days feels like a lot for an approval. But if you look at it, you would accept your internship with the company, and then you would fill out the RISD internship agreement, which you sign because you're a good citizen for RISD and you're going to be really nice to the people you're working with. You won't take over their companies, which I'm sure you won't. And then it comes in the Career Center, and then I start the workflow, and then it goes to your academic department. They approve. If you're international, always choose the F1 feature. It'll say, as you can see here, you're seeing F1 visa. That's a type, or no credit, but with F1 visa. So always choose that for international. And then it goes to your supervisor, and they will also agree to the terms, because it's like a contract. It'll say how many hours you're going to work. If you think they said you're going to get paid or not, you would write it down in that agreement, so there's no mysteries there for anyone. So and then RISD Legal, the RISD Provost will sign it, and then it gets posted on Workday. So it does take a little bit of time. So if you're international, err on the 14 days side of things, but it can happen pretty quickly. So part of that process is an evaluation at the end of the internship. So if you're all going out thinking about summer internships, before you get back to RISD, make sure you do the evaluation, because that you have to get graded before the fall semester starts. Okay? So your department, your faculty will be looking to grade you before the semester starts. So we send out information to you and the company about the evaluation, and you fill it out, and then your department grades you, and then the registrar's office posts this. So if you want to see your evaluation, get in touch with the Career Center. We will actually show it to you, you know. Employers cannot see your evaluation. We want you to be as honest as you can and let us know that the experience was good or not. So this is some information just because I know that I'm not going into depth about the internship program. So for example, you might want, can I get paid and get credit for an internship? This is a great page to know about so you can actually get those questions answered. And the answer is yes, if if you're wondering. Okay. Um, Also too, you want to know how many credits you can take as an undergrad or a grad student. It's right here on the internship info page as well. So there are deadlines for these. They're different than the actual academic deadlines for classes. So I hope that you can pay attention to some of these dates. So for summer, June 11th is the deadline. So if you go home and it's June 10th and you're interviewing and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm in the middle of the interview. I don't know if I've got it or not." Make sure you talk to your department head. Make sure you talk to me if it's like one day before, because only that's the only kind of give that you'll get as long if we know that it's almost going to be a closed deal. Okay. So for internships too, we know that it's expensive for people to live in New York or fly out to California. We do have some funding for internships. We don't have a ton of it, but we do have paid internship funding for you. And we also have housing resources that you can see as well. So we've been sending you a bunch of emails. Have you guys seen all these funding emails coming to you? And you're probably wondering, what does it mean or how can I use it? So if you have questions tonight, Brittany and I can definitely answer them. So for example, the Discovery Grant is $3,000 to do an internship that you are passionate about and you want to talk about it. So this is open to all, see, first year students, sophomore, it's open to all students except for grad students on this one. So the Turner Fund is for anything that has to, this is the internship fund, the Turner Fund, anything that has to do with theater or acting or performance, that's $5,000. This one here, this actual RISD Internship Support Fund, it's $1,000. Last year we gave out $48,000. 48 students got this. We know that it's not a ton of money, but we felt it was necessary to have something where, somebody will say, I got this internship, I want to do it, but the flight out to California is going to be expensive. I can't do it without some kind of help. Or it's in New York, I need some help because the housing isn't covered, or it's paid and it's like only $18 in New York and the apartment's going to cost us. That's what this is for. And it asks simple questions. So definitely be ready to answer the simple questions for that. And that deadline is usually in May, early May. So the housing that we have is usually in big cities and it's usually with a lot of other universities that give housing. So we have links for that. So I also want to mention if you're trying to get an internship and you signed up for some internship and you're like, I feel really weird. They're asking all these questions. They're asking me to pay them money. Just come and talk to us. Talk to somebody in your department or come to the Career Center and talk to us. We want to make sure that nobody scams you because yes, it does happen. So just a final recap on that is finding good employers and relevant opportunities and places that really want RISD people. Definitely look at artworks and look at some of the resources that both Brittany and I have given you today. And building your network, even if you think it's just you're not going to use it and you've got 2 more years here, remember you've got 2 more years to build a relationship, as Brittany had said, you know. Um, so keeping that process organized is very important so it doesn't stress you out. Okay. I always talk about like setting aside one day out of your week, thinking of it as taking a liberal arts class that's a 2-hour class that you do once a week, in your internship search. that you actually set that time. Sunday morning between 10 and 12, you do your internship search, something like that. Okay. So that's really important to be organized. And definitely, use our services to help you with your resume, with your cover letters, and get portfolio advice as well. That's what we're there for. And the one of the big things is being persistent. It's not going to happen right away. It does take effort. And you have to remember people want RISD people. I mean, you guys are in one of the top schools and it's hard to get in here. So often when you're sending like an email letter, we always tell students put in the subject line, RISD student seeking, RISD student has a question, RISD, RISD, RISD. And I know that you might feel like, that's I don't care, but it does matter. That's why you're here. Okay. So definitely follow us on social media if you're not doing that. Instagram, Facebook. I mean, we still use Facebook. I know most of you are like Facebook, huh? But follow us on whatever social media works for you. LinkedIn. And then here, the drop-in hours, visit us for the drop-in hours or schedule an appointment. I mean, I think we all look pretty friendly, I hope, in your opinion, but we're here to help you. So definitely use our services. And thank you all for being here.